Eustace Crash Out Kid should be considered one of the most flawed characters in One Piece due to his brash and aggressive attitude. He often resorts to violence and just pure recklessness in his pursuit of becoming Pirate King, which directly explains his hot-headedness and impulsive behavior, which always lead him to make decisions without considering the consequences, like entering the new world, for example, without knowing the complete understanding of haki. He would have a clear understanding what haki is to begin with. We never seen him actually use arm and haki, to be quite honest, and we actually never seen him use the full capabilities of his Conqueror's haki as well. Of course, he's listed to have all three colors of hakis, but the simple fact is we never see him use it in the story. And I have something to say about this too, a little bit of a critique of Oda's writing here, and I'm gonna get back on topic. So when Kid was given Conqueror's haki, we did not see him use it at all. It's the same goes for Sengoku, the former fleet admiral of the Marines. I don't understand why we had to learn that Sengoku had Conqueror's haki through a SBS, and I also don't understand why we had to learn Kid's backstory in the SBS as well. That just pisses me off. You could have just placed his backstory in the story, but it seems like, of course, he's trying to finish up One Piece as soon as possible. And with Sengoku, you could have displayed that during the War of Marine Ford. That would have been easily right then and there. Knock out some pirates. The way that Kid was revealed to have Conqueror's haki to us was very underwhelming as well, with Kaido just saying it. Funny thing here is, if Oda actually made Kid's character seem so inconsistent on purpose here by leaving out facts like his backstory, the name of his Dera fruit, such and such, because in truth he is faulty to a fault. Take this for example, during the 2-year time skip, he encountered red-haired Shanks, the man that set Luffy on his goal to becoming Pirate King. Once Kid met him, he actually didn't meet him. Let's scratch that. He actually didn't even get to see Shanks to this fact. He actually only got to see his right-hand man, Ben Beckman, the man that took his arm. Now, how he took his arm, because Ben Beckman is not a swordsman, I'm guessing he blew his arm off with a rifle. That is crazy. Just by going off the interactions we always had with Kid in the story, we all know that he tried something first. Just going based off the now iconic chapter of 1079, we know he did something to set off Beckman somehow. I mean, you could say he was up there trying to challenge Shanks for his title as Yonko, which would have been a stupid move, which completely goes within his character. Being an impulsive idiot, he gets his crewmates in a lot of situations where they are not prepared or ready for. I wouldn't say Kid lacks confidence at all, but he does lack intelligence in the matter. That's why he has his right-hand man Killer making the strategic calls for him majority of the time. That would have some folly to it as well. So first, let me compare this situation to a couple situations that Luffy had to deal with in the past. When Zoro was telling Luffy to not let Usopp rejoin the crew. In this situation, of course, Zoro was telling Luffy that you can't trust a man based off whims just like that. He can leave us off of anything if he left off of what he did beforehand. And this was a situation with a former crewmate, not another random pirate that you're trying to align yourself with. You can even compare this to Trafalgar Law making his alliance with Luffy as well. But with that situation, Luffy had a run-in with Law beforehand with the auction house and with the fact that Trafalgar Law did save his life after the events of Marineford. So after hearing the rumor about Law and Luffy joining forces, making their alliance known to the world, Killer made the smart move, form an alliance with other supernovas just like how Law and Luffy did, to go ahead and progress in the new world. Of course, this decision and plan led to one of the downfalls of the Kid Pirates, because already had an encounter with Apu. He already stated that he did not like Scratch Man at all. Intuition told him from the beginning when he met Apu that he is bad news and he does not want anything to do with him. He even attacked him. That right there should have showed Kid that I don't even want to be aligned with this guy because I just don't like him. In this instance, he trusted his first mate that made the wrong decision. Greed, his ambition, and his loyalty got in his foresight right here, because he knew based off past interactions with Apu that he was just bad news. Because thanks to Apu, he gave his location to Kaido, one of the Yonko of the sea at the time. And of course, we all know how that ended up for the Kid Pirates, with Kid being imprisoned in Udon Prison alongside with Luffy, separated from his crew, while Killer now being affected by a smile fruit It all stems back to Apu being involved with the Alliance. And we all know what happened with Basil Hawkins. He's just a bitch. That's all I gotta say about him. Go back to why he's perfectly flawed a little bit later with 1079, of course. But let me tell you why he's truly a crash out as well. But first, let me go ahead and tell you the definition of what a crash out truly is, because to be quite honest, I had no idea until I did my own research on this shit. And what do you know, the only way I can find the answer to this question is by looking it up on Urban Dictionary. So of course I looked up crash out, but I didn't get a real definition. But I seen crashing out, and it states to willing or unwittingly enter into a situation knowing the outcome will not be good. That is the pure definition of Eustace Kid. On his way to Onigashima to face Kaido to get him back on all the injustices he did to him and his crew, came up with no plan at all. The goal was to kill Kaido, that's all. While he was on his way to Onigashima alongside with Luffy and Law, the pirate mink Samurai Alliance, still doing his own thing at the time. He tells them that we are not aligned at all. We are just walking the same path. Statement right there was completely hard, but it didn't make any sense at all. It's basically stating that it's okay if we fight alongside with each other going against Kaido, but at the same time I will not protect you guys at all, and I do not even trust you in the slightest. In multiple times in the manga and the anime that he protected some of his quote-unquote allies from Big Mom while also working together in the fight rooftop of Onigashima. Honestly, without Kinemon's double fruit, he would have got caught immediately, sticking out as a sore thumb. It's real funny that makes him a true crash out is when he saw Scratchman Apu. I understand completely on why he attacked Apu right then and there. Of course, we all understand why he did that, but it still put the plan at risk. It's the same thing Luffy does single time he has a conflict with another character in the story. I always thought that was just how conquerors moved in the story, but when you compare them to conquerors like Whitebeard and Shanks, it shows that it truly comes down to experience when you're a conqueror in DC. Continuing on with his plan to kill Kaido, he literally went up to the rooftop with the other supernovas. Finally seeing that Luffy can deal damage to Kaido, he was shocked in this case, saying that you can actually deal damage to that monster. And what just befuddles me is that this man was literally going up there to die. He had no plan to kill this man. Like I said beforehand, he said the plan was to kill Kaido, but how, bro? You had no Rio, you had no Conqueror's coding, you had nothing. How is that possible? How is that possible? You were going to die up there if the other supernovas didn't go up there as well. Pure crash out behavior in my book, to be quite honest. And what's funny, when you actually really think about it, his main goal was to kill Kaido, but when he had the chance to take out Big Mom, he went ahead and tried to take out Big Mom as soon as possible, which is hilarious. He knew in that fight he did not have the capabilities to take down Kaido. The man that was best for the job was Luffy there, of course. And again, this is just a little bit of critique of Oda's writing here, but because narratively, he should have been in the fight and taking down Kaido, because he did a lot of injustices to him and his crew. Like I said beforehand, his character is just very inconsistent in the story. And his fight with Law to take on Big Mom, I have to say that was one of the best fights in Onigashima here, because there was a little bit of a moment there that showed Kid's leadership, also showing that he still does not trust him completely in this situation. Asking Law, does he have an awakening? And Law, of course, giving him the answer. He, of course, gave Law some of the information on his Devil Fruit awakening as well, not to its entirety. See, this really showed that he is flawed here. Why wouldn't you give this man as much information as possible in a life or death situation? Law proved multiple times that he can be trusted in this fight. You go back to once the fight was getting on its way, Kid was suffering from a migraine thanks to Basil bitch ass Hawkins, and with Law giving his response so quickly to his question as well. And even if you think back to pre-time skip, while they teamed up to take on a pacifista at the time, go back to the rooftop, it was Law's plan originally to get Big Mom off the roof. Character is truly inconsistent when it comes to character development, because he will stick to his guns even if it costs him his life at the end of the day. That just brings us to chapter 1079, the iconic chapter where Shanks actually does something. And who else would he be taking on in this situation? Eustace Crash Out Kid. Because in this situation, it proves that he is a flawless character and a typical crash out as well. This starts at chapter 1076, because I swear this felt like a WrestleMania entrance right here, because Shanks was hyped up to its core from the beginning of the story, and we all speculated that this man had territory in Elbaf, because we never seen Elbaf, but it's not confirmed that he had territory there. He's just chilling there with Baf citizens, of course. This has to do with fate here, because Luffy, Kid, and Law picked straws to see which route they would choose, and Kid chose the route towards Elbaf. Really, if any other captain other than Kid picked that route to Elbaf, they would have been safe. Law would probably give Shanks his poneglyphs, no question, because Law knows that he cannot handle Shanks. Would have probably challenged him to a true one-on-one. Who knows? Comes to Luffy, of course they'll be just kicking it and shit. Luffy and Shanks would go head up with each other, of course, just for Shanks to test his strength, see if he's actually true to the title of Yonko. Unfortunately, the most unlucky situation happened to Kid. He is now en route to face the crew who took his arm. Before this conflict even goes down, Killer is telling Kid, we should not mess with these guys. Last time we fought them, we got beaten to a pulp and you lost your arm. You didn't even see Shanks at all. Guess what? He doesn't listen to him. When you think about it, because if you go back to Killer's plan to form an alliance with Apu and Hawkins, that just ended up in the shitter, and Kid went along with it, even though his intuition told him not to team up with the likes of Apu. But in this situation, Killer tells him the right move here to make, and not fucking with the red-haired pirate. Of course, Kid does not listen in the slightest, because he wants his get back. It's truly where his foolhardy nature was put on display here, putting his crew in danger once again, but this time it came down to his decision and his decision alone. As soon as he enters Elbaf's waters, seeing Shanks' pirate fleet, he's already just wondering, why are these weaklings organized by red-haired? Of course, Shanks just take in the weaklings because he's just a kind person. Like Oda put this here to just show us how Kid is a true villain in the story as well. He don't care who they are, what they look like. He only cares if they are affiliated with the red-haired pirates in this situation right here. So he pulls up a damned punk to obliterate Shanks' fleet. But of course, being one of the only 4 characters in the entire story to be confirmed to have future sight, uses it right then and there to see the ugly future that Kid was about to unleash. He of course steps up to the plate. He mad dashes Kid on his ship, Victoria Punk, and hit him with a divine departure. Goldie's Rogers' signature move, explosion on the ship while knocking out some of the crew members as well. And Killer even tried to step in the way to take most of the blow for Kid, but alas, both of them laying there knocked out due to Shanks. Crewmates even offer up their poneglyph rubbings in order to save their captains in this situation. We don't know if Shanks actually grabbed them. That has yet to be confirmed in the story for us. But after the fact he knocked out Kid, Dory and Brock, used to be Shanks' allies here, hit the Victoria Punk with a Hakaku sovereignty, similar to the move that Big Mom and Kaido did on the rooftop. Just decimates the Victoria Punk. The ship has been ripped in half by that attack, leaving Eustace Crash Out Kid and his pirate crew as eradicated. Didn't even blame Shanks on this situation at all. Of course, seeing a terrible future using his future sight, but also he did get the status report on Kid right then and there. Who's to blame for all this happening to them? It is Eustace Kid. No, nothing more, nothing less. He went into that situation knowing that they lost to the red-haired pirate crew beforehand, also making the decision based off his emotions as well, which we all know that is a dumb thing to do. Pure logic is always better than making decisions off of emotions. Of course, he would want to go ahead and get his revenge against the man who captains the ship who took his arm. It just led to his downfall, the downfall of himself, the downfall of his pirate crew, the downfall on his ambition on becoming Pirate King. Because in the current standings in the story, we don't even know if Kid is alive. He has been built up since Sabaody Archipelago at Shanks height, making him a perfectly flawed crash out to begin with.